Adobe Firefly is the all-in-one creative studio with AI-powered image and video editing for today's creative process. Built for creators of every kind, Firefly helps you generate, edit, and experiment fast. Because the asks aren't getting smaller, the budgets aren't getting bigger, and the timelines, oh yeah, still tight. With all the best creative AI models in one place, Firefly brings your ideas to life. Unlock a better way to make with Adobe Firefly.
The following program does not offer personal medical advice. Please consult your doctor before using any treatment or product we cover. Welcome to Go to Health Media with your host, Jonathan Marks. We provide a welcoming environment where experts educate you on important health topics, answer your questions, and provide information from which you can benefit in consultation with your doctor. You can visit and subscribe to the show at gotohealthmedia.com. And now, here is Jonathan Marks.
Hey everyone, this is Jonathan Marks with Go to Health Media, back with another show. We know about RSV in children. What's new is RSV in adults, and the CDC is coming up with new reactions. What's going on with that? Who is most at risk for severe RSV, and what prevention options are available this fall and winter? With us to talk about this today is Robert Hopkins Jr., MD. He's board certified in internal medicine and pediatrics. Dr. Hopkins is the medical director of the National Foundation for Infectious Diseases, or NFID.org. He helps to advance the NFID mission through building vaccine confidence, addressing health equity issues, increasing awareness of disease prevention and treatment, and strengthening NFID partner collaborations. He continues an active teaching and clinical practice, providing primary and consultative care to adults and children. Welcome to the show, Dr. Hopkins. How are you today?
I'm doing great, Jonathan. Happy to be here with you.
Good. So we know about RSV in children. What's new with RSV in adults, and why is the CDC coming up with new recommendations now?
Well, RSV not only causes severe disease, including pneumonia and other complications in small children, but RSV also causes severe disease and hospitalizations in older adults. And over the last couple of years, we've now had approval of a number of vaccines for RSV that are recommended for our older adults. All adults 75 and older should receive an RSV vaccine, and adults who are 60 to 74 and have chronic health conditions are also a group of people that are at high risk for severe RSV, and so we recommend those folks be vaccinated.
Now, is this something new? I mean, we've known about RSV in children for years, but all of a sudden we're talking about this in adults. Has this become endemic? Has this spread, particularly in the last couple of years? Why the attention on older adults now?
I think a lot of it boils down to testing. You know, we are testing more for specific viruses that are causing hospitalizations in adults over the last 5 years or so that we had not done prior to that. And so we have come to understand the impact of RSV infection in older adults, in addition to what we know about RSV in small children. And in parallel with that understanding of the RSV impact in children, we've had some wonderful successes in vaccine development, and now have some vaccines available to help us prevent RSV infection and severe RSV infection.
Got it.
And in addition, it's particularly important because we don't have any antivirals to treat RSV infection. So if you or I or any of our older adults get an RSV infection, we can support them. We can give them fluids, we can give them respiratory treatments, but we don't have an antiviral medication to give them to help knock out the virus that's caused the problem in the first place. And so it's particularly important to have prevention tools for illnesses that we don't have great treatments for. And this is one of them.
Got it. Thank you for that explanation. So this really is, again, about testing and realizing that things are around more than we thought they were. Okay, good. So can RSV vaccines be given at the same time as other vaccines? Here we are in the fall and we need to get maybe flu or COVID-19 updates. Can this be given at the same time?
Yes, RSV vaccine can be co-administered, meaning given at the same time as other adult vaccines that an individual may need, whether that be flu, COVID-19, or other adult vaccines that they need. And the other part that's, I think, important for people to recognize is that RSV vaccine, at least at this point, is what I call a one and done vaccine. You don't have to give it every year like you do influenza, or once or potentially even a couple of times a year for COVID-19. You give it once, and to this point, you don't give additional doses. We're continuing to follow this, and it may be we have recommendations for more down the road. But for now, if you got RSV vaccine last year, you're good to go. If you haven't had RSV vaccine and you're in one of those risk groups, get it now. You're getting it before RSV is really, so to speak, ripping and roaring in our communities, so that you can build up your immunity to have better protection.
Good. Are there side effects to the vaccine? Arm pain, fever, headache?
Any vaccine can cause symptoms like you've mentioned, arm pain, fever, headache, because you're stimulating the immune system. Stimulating the immune system causes some of those symptoms. But if you have those symptoms, take a fever reducer, take an analgesic, to help reduce those symptoms. Those are no more or no worse than we would expect for other vaccines.
Got it. Now, you helped to advance vaccine confidence in the public. When I grew up, we all just got vaccinated. There weren't any questions. What are some of the issues surrounding vaccines these days?
Well, we've got a number of challenges. One is that over the course of the pandemic in particular, we've seen a real increase in anti-science and anti-vaccine posts on different media and social media platforms. This, I think, has helped erode some of the confidence that people had in vaccines, in science in general, and in a lot of other things in our society. We don't have the same conversations about things. People tend to throw stones rather than thinking and talking. And so that's become a real challenge. And so one of our goals at NFID is to help people to understand what the science is, what the truth is, and what are the tools we can use to help prevent and reduce the impact of infectious diseases to our society and to individuals within that society.
Right. And you've said that we don't have any antiviral for RSV. So really the whole game here is prevention, and we've got to get vaccinated.
That's exactly right.
Have there been any adverse reactions to the vaccinations that we should know about?
Well, generally, it's a very safe vaccine. There have been a few reports of some side effects that our colleagues at FDA and others are investigating. But to this point, it appears that getting the vaccine is far safer than any risk of getting severe RSV infections.
Good. That's a great clarification. So any problems are being investigated by the FDA, but it's much better to get these side effects rather than get RSV itself.
Other than some of those local reaction things we talked about earlier, the risk of any other effects is really very small.
Great. Thank you. I mentioned that you address health equity issues. Can you explain what health equity is and why it's important?
Well, there are, unfortunately, for many vaccines, for many interventions in our society, there are people that have better access to those tools than others. I think it's a real challenge that we don't have equal availability of vaccines to people in rural communities and urban communities. It's a challenge that certain racial and ethnic groups or people that have certain lifestyles don't have the same access to vaccines and other preventive tools as others. And so one of the things that we try to encourage is that we want vaccines to be available, accessible, safe, and low cost to everybody without regard for the color of your skin, whether you make no money, whether you have low income or whether you have high income, and whether you live in a rural community or an urban community. We want equitable availability of prevention and treatment tools to all across our society.
Now, what's the issue with rural healthcare? I mean, is it harder to get a vaccine if you live in a rural area than if you live in a major city? What are those issues?
Well, I live in the state of Arkansas. Unfortunately, across the 75 counties in the state of Arkansas, many of which are rural, many of those counties don't have a medical provider. They don't have a hospital. They may have one pharmacy or no pharmacies. And if you have to drive 20 or 30 or 50 miles to get to a healthcare provider, that's going to be a challenge for some people to get preventive tools available to. And so if you don't have access, that's a problem. And so we want to try to do what we can to try to get equal access to people.
Good. Now, people can go to learn more. I have an organization here that you're working with called Champions for Vaccine Education, Equity, and Progress. And if people want to learn more about RSV, they can go to cveep.org. That's cveep.org. cveep.org. Is that correct?
That is correct. And,
Good.
and NFID.org also has a lot of resources about RSV as well.
Great. And so are you working with them in collaboration to get the word out about RSV? What's that relationship?
Well, NFID, one of our core values is to collaborate with others to try to spread the message as widely as possible, to try to reach people where they are, and to try to help them understand the value and how to access prevention and treatment tools against infectious diseases.
Wonderful. Great. Well, thanks so much for being with us today. We've been talking with Robert Hopkins, MD. He's the medical director for the National Foundation for Infectious Diseases. That's nfid.org. And you can also find more information about RSV there at nfid.org or at cveep.org. That's cveep.org. Thanks so much for being with us today, Doctor.
Pleasure being with you, Jonathan.
Thank you. And as we say at the end of every show, remember, go to health. Take care. We'll see you again next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you for tuning in this week to Go to Health Media. Be sure to join Jonathan Marks and another health expert next time. You can also catch the program on your favorite podcast platform. Until our next show, be sure to visit us on the web at gotohealthmedia.com and elevate your life.